multiple times, multiple ways, they begin to incorporate it. They hear it once, it just melts away.
I agree. Oh, thank you very much, Gary. So, you just touch on the subject of burnout and emotional resilience. What's the correct term? Resi-
Resilience, sure.
resilience. There you go. Have you experienced burnout yourself?
Oh, sure. I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay.
I think many times. Um, we so the way I got into it was I headed up a neurosurgery department, and I had as many as 10 neurosurgeons and a bunch of residents and a bunch of physician assistants. I had a large group of people working with me and for me, and we were showing strain, and it's a it's a stressful world. Modern neurosurgery. There's a lot of bad things happening, a lot of sick people, and a lot of responsibility. And that it got me very interested, particularly in healthcare providers. Um, how do we handle the stress? What can we do so that it doesn't kind of tear us down emotionally and wear us out emotionally? And so I spent many years kind of studying it, working with a world expert on it, and we ended up writing several books about it. Even my novel that came out very much revolves around the concept of burnout, um, because it's there. I think it's very real, and it's not just in healthcare. I think everybody in our society is susceptible to it because modern society is just a mile a minute. We're constantly getting beaten up and multitasking nonstop, and I think we have so little time to kind of stop, rest, regenerate, find ourselves, think about what our needs are, attend to our needs. And so I think everybody is dragging at times. So I would argue that probably everybody experiences some burnout to one degree or another in their day to day or year to year lives.
How? Sorry. What would you recommend to someone who is experiencing burnout right now? What they can do to in order to mitigate the symptoms?
Yeah, it's kind of like the our discussion on Alzheimer. There's no one magical cure. So what we have a whole, we have lists of things that people could do. They're mostly very common sense, very straightforward, because our feeling is that the more complicated you make it, the less likely people are going to do. But the opening salvo, the opening things that we want to see, begins with first what we call self-compassion and self-care, and that is, and we see this in the medical world particularly, especially, and again, I talk about the medical world simply because I know it the best. But in the medical world, your whole functionality, everything that you think about and do, is very much oriented towards somebody else. It's oriented to a patient, to the patients. And you are constantly focused on, what can I do for this patient? What do I need to do for this patient? What could go wrong? How do I head that off at the pass? What am I going to do next? What if this happens? What if that happens? You think patient, 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 patient. And one of the things that we ask people to do is, wait a minute. Periodically, you got to step away. You've got to say, where am I? Who am I? How am I feeling? How am I functioning right now? What do I need? What's dragging me down? What helps me out? What can I do to help myself out? In other words, we're asking people to kind of build their emotional intelligence about themselves. And it's hard for healthcare workers because they start to feel guilty about it. They go, no, 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 I should be thinking about my patient. I shouldn't focus on myself. And we say, well, if you burn out, if you start losing it, you're not helping your patient anymore. So it's good for your patient to also be focusing periodically on yourself. And then the corollary to that is, if you focus on yourself, if you give yourself that opportunity to figure out what you need, and you don't do it, well, it's not helping you anyway. So you also have to give yourself permission periodically to take care of yourself, to address your needs, to do what recharges your energy banks.
So let's recap. You take a step back and practice self-love, and you do that periodically. When you say periodically, do you have a recurrent event on your phone? You mentioned several questions that ideally you should ask yourself whenever you're feeling burnout. Do you have like a specific list saved somewhere, or you're just more general about it? You just take one day, like do you understand what I'm asking? You're more when you say periodically, you have a routine, or is something that you do from time to time in a more general manner?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I don't think anybody has all this worked out so that one schedule fits all. As a
I
matter of
see.
fact, no two people are the same, right? And so, if I went to the typical healthcare worker and said, every day you have to spend half an hour focused on yourself, they're just going to laugh in my face. They're just going to say, "What, are you kidding? Where do you think I'm getting that half hour?" So, we also believe in starting small and working out from there. But yeah, like in our books, we try to give, some specific questions to be asking yourself, and all, and suggestions on, how often to do it. But I think everybody has to find their own zone, where what works for them. But I agree with you. Again, it's stuff like your podcast. It's stuff like, I'm not from the electronic era. So, I'm like, take a post-it note and, put a note to yourself to remind yourself to do certain self-care things, and stick it on your bathroom mirror so every time you walk past it you see it. But you may have an alert on your phone, and there are self-care apps that you can get into on the phone that can help you with this sort of thing. But again, going back to what we were talking about, doing it once a year ain't going to do it. You got to kind of think of, how do I set up a regimen? Like, here's an example, because it's very individualized. I get huge calming, huge, just bringing everything down, kind of a zen, if you will, from, you can see one in the background, from playing a guitar and or a banjo. um, Really very settling for me, always has been, throughout my professional career. So I try to make myself sit down and play an instrument at least 3 or 4 times a week. And it's not easy. I kind of put it off and put it off. But the benefits, when I actually make myself do it, is tremendous. I can just feel that calm wash over me, and I'm in a whole different world when I start playing. So, if we're big fans, for example, of schedules, of, you know create a schedule for yourself and book in the things that really bring you joy and pleasure and calm and enthusiasm, and, all the positive side of it. For example, I our we trained neurosurgeons. Those are what are called neurosurgery residents, and it's hard. It's 7 years of hard labor after medical school. I mean, they get beat up, and they, most of them are married or have significant others, and we would suggest to them, look, that it's really important to take care of your relationships. So here's what we recommend: that twice a week you put into a schedule a 1 or 2 hour date with your significant other. It doesn't have to be going out, but 1 to 2 hours dedicated to your significant other. Have a nice long dinner, or, go out to the gym together, or go for a walk, or whatever it is that works for you all. But book it in there, because if you don't, you're not going to do it. It's going to fall by the wayside.
I see. I see. Great tips. Thanks so much. And I couldn't agree more about playing the guitar. I play the guitar, and my mood is changed drastically. Like after I play it, you can
Yeah.
I can see for myself. People around me like, Bruno, oh my god, you're so happy all of a sudden. Before I play, I'm a person. After I play, I'm a completely different person. Okay, I might be exaggerating a little bit, but it does help. It doesn't have like the power of music. It's impressive. It really changes something.
But it's not going to work for everybody. And so, one size doesn't fit all. And we say, so I'm going to give you I'm going to give you my favorite metaphor for this. It's not mine, but I like it a lot. And that is that all of us, all of us kind of within ourselves, we have what we would call an energy bank. It's a bank of energy that gives us the energy to get up in the morning, brush our teeth, make some breakfast, get out, face the world, do our work, prepare for a podcast, you go